All right, good morning and welcome everybody to the Never Stop Healing podcast. This is your host of the morning, Cade Archibald, and I am really excited to be here on this beautiful day. And along with me, we have Regan Archibald, creator, founder of the Accelerate Wellness programs and East West Health and Go Wellness. Regan, how you doing?
Really good.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like I wasn't able to be on. I was out of the office yesterday, but we had a really cool Health Accelerator Challenge yesterday. Some really cool stuff that we covered there. The challenge, so those of you that are not a part of our Health Accelerator community, check it out. Go to acueastwest.com/hack. That's HAC. Go ahead and check that out. And I challenge, if you're not a part of that community or doing something that's accelerating your health, take some initiation and let's or initiative and go for it. So our challenge last night, really cool. Love this. Creating some enhanced reflection for your New Year's resolution. So really reflect on how you can improve or create relationships the way you'd want to see them. So there's a relationships component, a health and wellness component, as well as learning and creativity. So those are kind of the challenges the challenge for this week is really getting a deep dive into that. Any additional insights to that, Regan?
No, we did some interesting thought processes yesterday in the hack. So go back and watch it if you can. But yeah, otherwise, just it's following that theme of your kidneys house your destiny, but the liver helps you put a plan in place and a purpose. And so really looking at your emotional drivers in life, if you notice you're quicker to anger and frustration, then maybe it's time to get your liver cleaned out and convert that anger to the virtue of the liver, which is benevolence and compassion. Or in the kidneys, if you're constantly kind of infiltrated with fear, it's a good time to look at your kidneys and maybe do a cortisol and adrenal stress test. But that fear can get converted to wisdom pretty quickly. And the New Year's is a great time to stop and reflect and actually make sure that you're pointed in the right direction, because nothing worse than striving really hard to get to a certain destination only to realize it's the wrong destination.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, that is amazing. So let's hop into today's topic. I'm excited about this topic. We're going to be diving into some really cool peptides and some things for the new year. Really excited about this. Let's dive in.
So it's a good time of year to do a reset. And my wife this morning, she said, "What peptide have you been giving me? I've been sleeping so good." And it's like the best she slept in, a long time. And, my wife, fortunate thing for me is I could just put whatever in the syringe and she'll just utilize it. So I've got to, nothing but capabilities there. And so we'll talk about that today, because I think, as we just went through the winter solstice, we've got the days are now getting longer than the nights. And so it's a really important time of year to just start focusing on your circadian rhythms. And really, you can plant a lot of really good health for the future during this time of the year. But it's also a time of the year when things can go downhill. And so it's an easy time for your immune system to get dysregulated. It's, I notice our patients who have any types of emotional constraint, this is a time of year where they can really start to notice the impact. So today we're going to go all into how to have healthy internal clocks, also what to do with eating, and then certain peptides that are really going to move the needle when it comes to sleeping great and feeling great. And so let's jump into that. But first of all, I'll share my screen for those of you who love a visual. And we'll go through kind of what it means to have a healthy circadian clock, and then we'll get into some of the solutions. And then as we go through there, I want to see what you guys have done for a healthy clock. And so if you look at the research in Dr. Sachin Panda's book called Circadian Code, it's really interesting because what he discovered is that the mice, when they were fed the same diet, so this is how the kind of his whole work came about, is he looked at mice who were overweight, and he found that when the researchers, the lab assistants, only gave them an 8-hour window of eating, even though it was the same amount of calories, same amount of food, these mice lost weight and they became healthier. They seemed to sleep better. And he said, wow, that was an interesting observation. And he even noticed that these same mice, when only given food, for that 8-hour window, 5 days out of the week, and then the weekends they had unlimited access to the food, they still had the same benefit. And in looking at that, he said, well, I wonder if we can repeat this. And so he duplicated this research in multiple cases, and now we've seen it on different human studies. But one of the things that you can do is get pretty obsessive about when you're eating, when you're not eating. But I can tell you, if you stop eating at least 2 hours before you go to sleep, and even 3 hours, you're going to sleep better. You're going to wake up feeling more energized. And there's a lot of benefits that can come to your body from a health perspective. So if you look at a healthy clock, and this includes eating cycles and sleeping cycles. And so, Cade, do you remember from our reset, kind of our 6 core essentials? You remember the sleep cycles that we have people adhere to?
Yeah. So early to bed, early to rise makes a man. I'll let you guys finish that one, but so it's 9:30. It's kind of the wind down time, and then you're up around 5:30.
That's it. Yeah. And if you can do that, you just feel amazing. And so this is where getting to bed. So that means, all right, well, if you're going to get to bed, at least be in bed by 9:30, that's ideal. And I found that doing this, at least 6 days a week, ideally 7, it actually makes things so much better. And here's what the research shows. It shows that when we have this healthy clock, and that means following the light cycle, you're going to have better sleep, which leads to better alertness, cognitive ability, increased cardiovascular ability and muscle strength, improved blood pressure, improved liver function. You're going to have muscle reaction time that's improved, and then your pancreas release of insulin and glucagon, that will be improved too. So just one night of disrupted sleep can cause blood sugar dysregulations of up to 50%. And so this is where, like, shift workers tend to die earlier. And we appreciate you shift workers, because it's something I could never do. But unfortunately, your life is cut short. You have more heart disease, more diabetes because of this. And so this is where jet lag, all these things kick in. But a disrupted clock, you're going to have poor sleep quality. You're going to have depression, mental health issues. Your muscle function is going to be lower. You're going to have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, heart disease, which is the number one killer still, hypertension, fatty liver disease, and it will be really challenging for you to lose weight. And so this healthy sleep cycle is such an important part of it. of everything. And so one of the things in the reset that we recommend everybody do is, um, make sure that you've finished eating about 3 hours before you go to bed. And so that would be like around 6:30. Try to finish your meal by 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there. And then when you go to sleep, make sure at night that you're dimming your lights. You are having at least an hour where there's no screen time. Maybe you're reading a book. Maybe you do want to read on your device, but wear some blue light blocking glasses, which everybody in our Accelerate Wellness program, if you've received glasses from us and you're like, why did they send me glasses? Well, it's these are blue light blockers that actually can really help so that you have these healthy circadian rhythms. And so these rhythms are really important. You can also go to the extreme, as some people have like red lights that they'll turn on at night. And we've done that in our kids' bedrooms where I have a lamp that we can turn it on. My kids used to be far more diligent about wearing blue light blockers than they are now, but that can be a really healthy way to get your circadian rhythms in place. And then the other thing that you can do is first thing in the morning, get out in the sun as the sun's rising. It's a really good time to reset what are called your melopsin receptors. And those melopsin receptors are what allows for the proper reduction of melatonin and secretion of melatonin. So you have an increase in cortisol. First thing in the morning, your cortisol is going to start to spike for at least 30 minutes after you wake up, and then it starts to drop. And what some of the research shows is that there's no need to drink caffeine in that first kind of 60 minutes of being awake. And if you can push it back, so push back your coffee, 1 hour to an hour and a half, that's when you'll start to sleep better. And that's one of the cool hacks that my wife has finally put in is she's been pushing her coffee back about an hour and a half after she woke up. She said, well, I like to make coffee, drink my coffee while I'm reading and then go work out. And so she's just kind of omitted the coffee and replaced it with some tea and lemon water, some herbal tea and lemon water. And so that's been one of the hacks. And then we'll dive into the peptides in just a minute here of what we've been able to do to just have, sleep of a lifetime. And but the big thing is getting out in the sun, resetting your circadian rhythms, doing the 30-30 exercise protocol. These are all in your reset. So if you go to your reset document, and I can even pull that up for those of you in our Accelerate Wellness program, you'll find that document's actually super helpful because it's all around the circadian rhythms, whether you know it or not. But here, I'll share it so you guys can see that. And yeah, so we have, you can see we've got sleep. That's the number one thing in a reset, is make sure you're getting a good night's sleep. Make sure your room's cooler than 70 degrees. Ideally, you have an air purifier. If you snore, duct tape your mouth shut, or not duct tape, but tape your mouth shut, or sleep on your side. And then making sure you're getting enough hydration, which we'll spend a little bit of time on that. But what hydration does, and especially if you're putting electrolytes in your body as a reset, your adrenal glands are responsible, and your kidneys, for moving the electrolytes. And so when you have stress in your nervous system, you don't move electrolytes as well as you could. And so this is where your sodium potassium ratios can be dysregulated. You'll notice your anion gap becomes high and your blood becomes acidic. And so hydration is really important. But if you drink water or any kind of fluids right before bed, then you're going to be waking up at night to urinate. So at least an hour before bed, stop drinking any fluids and kind of take all the supplements. When we say take it before bed, usually that means an hour before bed, so you're not drinking fluids. But also, like, start measuring your water. We had one of our patients reach out, and he's like, now that I'm exercising more, I'm getting cramps and I'm not sure what to do. And then we realized, oh, well, you're not getting the right hydration. And he was drinking enough water, but he wasn't getting the electrolytes in. And just by adding electrolytes, he's feeling amazing. He said, oh, my brain feels better, my muscles feel better. And so hydration is really key. And one of the research articles that you can go back and look at is very interesting because they took these students and they found that students who were just 5% dehydrated did 20% worse on testing than they did when they were fully hydrated. The same material, all the only difference that they had in this study was that they were dehydrated. So if you want to have a brain that's functioning 20% at 20% lower capacity, then just go ahead and get 5% dehydrated, which is pretty crazy because hydration, especially in the morning, if you live in a dry climate, you're going to be about a glass of water dehydrated. So wake up, drink some fluids, get your workout in, take your peptides, and start your day. The other thing that's really important for your reset is getting less than 1 gram of sugar. So as you know, as we start this new year, it's a really good time to have a new you. And how many of you could eat less sugar than what you're currently consuming? And how's that been for you this year, Cade?
This year my sugar has been great. This holiday season, I kind of let some things slide a little bit more than probably the rest of the year. So yeah, that's something. You saw me laughing on the sugar. Like my sugar intake this like during Christmas probably been a little excessive. So that's definitely something I gotta clean up.
It's hard. Are you getting like people dropping treats off at the house, or are you
Oh,
make them?
nonstop. And then Sierra made these like crazy good gingerbread cookies with like
Mm.
white chocolate dipped. And I made the mistake of testing one, and then I wanted to test the whole batch.
Oh man, isn't that the worst? Like my mother-in-law, she brings these like toffees, these black licorice toffees every year, and they're like super soft, a perfect texture, not too sweet, but just the right amount. And I'm always like, no, don't drop these off because it's game over. They're so good.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, if you have eaten a little more sugar during the holiday season, fret not. One of the things you can do is make sure that after you eat that gingerbread cookie, you know, do some burpees, go for a walk, just burn off that sugar. The faster you can use it, the better it is.
I've been doing lots of air squats and push-ups this just after every meal, or after most of my meals this last 2 weeks.
We see Cade, it's like every 20 minutes. We're like, hey, you know, there's an easier way of getting through life, Cade. You could just throw that in the garbage. Yeah, but the sugar, and I think this is of all the challenges, this is the one that can make just a massive difference. And people ask, well, what about fruit? Well, fruit's great for you. And this is anything in a package that has more than 1 gram of sugar. So really what it's intended to do is to also get you away from processed foods and get you cooking again, getting you looking at things just a little more with a little more scrutiny. And so it makes a big difference when you start reading the label. And so yes, eat some fruit. It's amazing, especially you know, apples, blueberries, you know, those are great for you, good longevity foods as well. um but yeah, just watch out for those sugars that are sweet. Look out for processed foods, artificial sweeteners, things like that. You can use monk fruit, stevia, those are great. And so get rid of the sugar. And then the exercise. So exercise is one of the best ways when it comes to resetting your circadian rhythms. We want you exercising 60 minutes a day. And where that number comes from is a study it's actually a 33-year study where they evaluated the mortality rates in individuals who were active. And they found that the people who exercised over 300 minutes a week moderately, just moderate exercise, those individuals live longer, as well as people who exercised over 600 minutes a week of mild. So that would be like going on a walk, going on a light bike ride, keeping your heart rate, in kind of that zone 1, zone 2 area, but getting a lot of activity in. And so the people who did the moderate or the what they called mild exercise for 600 minutes or moderate for 300 minutes a week, they lived 27 to 31% longer than people who didn't. And so we said, well, if we can get you exercising 60 minutes a day and 7 days a week, then you're at like 420 minutes. And even if you miss a day, you're still above that 300. And so because we want you to live unreasonably healthy to an unreasonably old age. And the only way you can get there is if you're actually moving your body. And actually there's another study that was published this year that found that people who are sedentary, even if you have been active, but if you go sedentary for 2 weeks or more, then you start to lose all the benefits of the exercise. And actually your body goes into a disease state faster than anything else. So the fastest way to die is to become sedentary. And I should say the fastest way to die a really long, agonizing death is to not be active. So how many of you are digging our 30-30 exercise protocol? So, wake up in the morning, get your exercise in. Cade, you know how I've been doing Ben Greenfield's Boundless app for just over a year?
Yeah.
Today they sent me a nice award where I was in the top 5% of consistency in using their app. So
Nice.
yeah, I was like,
You've been super consistent with it.
It's an easy one to follow because it just is like, okay, now I'm doing this and now I'm doing that. And I don't have to think about my workouts and I can do it wherever I'm at, and very little equipment's required. So that's been great.
Yeah, I've been, I'm sure you're aware there's plenty of things that you'd like to change up regularly. And I've been really impressed. That's one that has not changed.
Not at all. This one, when I find something that works, it works because it changes often. That's
Yeah, it has the change built in for you.
exactly. Because in the past, I'd be like, all right, now I'm doing this. And then I focus on that for 3 months and find something new. But this has been really good. So our challenge to you is, get out in the morning. Ideally, if you can go outside, do some sprinting, some running, just getting your body moving, it changes, and then getting that sunlight in your eyes, but just getting some visual, movement going actually helps trigger your brain and primes you for the day. So if you want your brain to work better, you've got to move your body first thing in the morning. And that might be just going out and doing some sprints. It might be going on a jog. It might be, jumping on an elliptical, whatever it might be. That really helps. I guess an elliptical, you're going to be too stationary. So you actually need to move. So it's really important. And then for your cardiovascular fitness, yes, you can jump on elliptical or a bike or whatever. But then at night, do the same thing. Ideally as the sun's setting, and it's really challenging right now because our days are pretty darn short if you're in the northern hemisphere. But then at night, and ideally after dinner, go for a walk. And it's one of the best things you can do to stabilize blood sugar, to, make sure that you're digesting your food properly, and brush your teeth right after dinner. So, and yes, you can brush them again right before bed. If you're like, well, if I'm eating it, that's 3 hours and I like to have a fresh mouth or whatever, I want to make out with my lady, then brush your damn teeth again. It's no big deal. But the real secret to brushing your teeth right after you eat is the fact that you're not tempted to start eating food, because what Sachin Panda's research found is that 50% of Americans eat more calories after dinner by snacking than they do with dinner itself.
Yeah, that's what will kill you, is the snacks after the meals. Yeah, I think that's a great strategy, because how many of us, when we brush our teeth, it's like you don't want to touch any food after that, because it doesn't taste the same. And then secondary, it's like, oh, I just cleaned my teeth, I don't want to get them dirty.
It's a simple little hack. And, we have we have you guys in this section of your Accelerate Wellness program is we have you reading Atomic Habits. Is a great book by James Clear. So if you've not read that, read that, look it up online. He's got plenty of videos and blogs and things like that. So, but that's a really great way on the reset is just get the exercise in. It could be Tabata, it can be HIIT. But just make it part of your reset during this new year is not getting crazy and just saying, oh, I'm going to go to the gym once and be done with it. But, really start jamming and saying, I'm just going to make this my new identity. And that's the big change is you're not somebody who just works out occasionally. You're someone who works out every day. You're a fit person. You're not somebody who just eats healthy occasionally. You're someone who always eats healthy. That's your identity. And so it really has to be part of you, this whole process. You're somebody who goes to sleep early at night. I'm an early to bed, early to rise person. And some of you, I think there's about 5, maybe 10% of people who you actually do better by staying up later and sleeping later. So if that's your genetic makeup, no problem, but just be that person who gets 8 hours of sleep or whatever you need. The other part of the reset is getting some type of cold and heat exposure in your life. And so, man, the cold showers have been cold. It's been amazing. Are yours cold yet in St. George, Cade, or are you still warm?
Yes, it's now that the temperatures have dropped, definitely much more cold.
Yeah, and you guys have Sand Hollow. You could go jump in that reservoir right now. I bet that would cool you off fast.
Yeah, for sure.
But get in there. So the cold shower is a great way. Just 2 minutes can really calm down your nervous system. Even 20 seconds. Sing happy birthday a couple times when you're in the shower. And it was one of the hacks we have in my book, Never Stop Healing, that people have loved. And then draw yourself up a hot bath. And, doing that 2-3 times a week can be really powerful for your growth hormone release. And it's a really good thing to get sweat going. So in our modern day society, we walk from our 70-degree house and we have our perfect amount of clothing on to walk into our car, and our car's preheated. And there's not a lot of temperature variation, which makes us weaker. And so we become less resilient when weather changes. And so, not only that, but the cold shock proteins and the heat shock proteins that you get when you're exposed to more extreme temperatures can really help your body recover. Cold exposure is one of the best ways you can reset what's called your heart rate variability. And that means the way that your vagus nerve is connected to your brain, to your gut, and the way that your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system respond to stress is far more tolerated. Because, Cade, when you're in a cold shower, there's really nothing worse that you're going to have to confront in the day, is what I found.
That's usually the most painful thing of the day. Yes.
It's done. So you can just relax and be like, well, the
worst is over.
Yeah, shittiest part of that day is gone. I'm good. Yeah. So that's, and then the final thing is mindset morning. Wake up in the morning. And Andy is, she's a big believer in this. Many of you have worked with Andy, one of our health advisors. But really just spend 6 minutes. It's simple. 2 minutes of doing some type of breathing, having a gratitude practice, and then 2 minutes of thinking of who you are as a person, what your goals are for the day, and then 2 minutes just tracking your progress and just really thinking, who can I connect with today? What do I need to do? But it's a very simple way of resetting your body. And so that's it. That's, you're going to score yourself on a scale of 1 to 6. How are you doing on each of these 6 essentials? And then grade yourself. So that's one of the most important things is, if you don't measure it, you don't make progress. What gets measured gets managed, and then what gets managed can be improved upon. Can't remember who said that, like Peter Drucker, maybe. You probably know that better than me, Cade. But anyway, so if you start measuring this, it can make a big difference. So a lot of our members put this on their fridge. I've even seen our team members, they have it hanging around the clinic and they're filling it out. So it's really important to have that. And so let's talk about some of the peptides. So the peptides are interesting because I mentioned earlier, my wife this morning, and she says, "What peptide have you been giving me? Because I've been sleeping so darn good." And I'm like, well, I didn't say this, but I tell her every time, all right, here's your ARA 290, epital, whatever it may be. And some of them she really likes. Sometimes it burns or whatever. But what we did is a reset with epitalin. And so epitalin, the new way that we're utilizing it, and you'll see this change coming up in your epitalin prescriptions, where we're going to want you to do 1 cc of epitalin every 3 days until it's gone. So that gives you about 5 doses. And when you do that, it's like a mega dose. In the past, we'd have you do like 0.10 mLs every day. And if you have a super sensitive system, we dose it at that because sometimes doing the reset with the supercharged dose, it can be a little overwhelming. But even our patients who've had some type of sensitivities to things, they've done really well on this. But what epitalin does is it actually helps reset the melatonin cycles. So if you think about the melatonin and cortisol relationship, it helps you get a better melatonin secretion at night so that you sleep deeper. And melatonin has some great anti-aging and regenerative medicine properties. Epitalin comes from the pineal gland. So it's epithalon is more the appropriate name for it. But interestingly enough, this epitalin is naturally made in your body, and it's a telomerase enzyme. So you're going to get a lengthening of your telomeres, which helps you get a better DNA expression. So it's known as a bioregulator peptide because it activates the process of DNA replication, where you get this replacement of old cells with new cells. And these new cells come with their software all updated. So it's kind of like, you get a new iPhone and it just works better and the apps are updated. It's faster. You get clear signaling. But that's what epitalin does to the DNA. And so you can reset your entire HPA axis with this. And what epitalin has been shown to do is also to help reset that stress response. And so we see this with people who have high levels of massive demands and pressures at work. We work with some of the highest levels of entrepreneurs on the planet, people who are doing really big things. We also work with moms who are stressed out, can't sleep. We work with grandmas who, have given their heart and soul to their family for decades, and now they realize, oh, I can't go on like this. I've got to put some energy back into the tank. And that's where epitalin comes in. We also use epitalin for people who've gone through divorce, bankruptcy, they have relationship problems, issues, with finances or whatever it may be. But epitalin is a great way to reset. And so that's where we start. And then one of the other kind of secret peptides that we've added in, and then I put in my wife's stack that's helped her sleep so well. And we've both been sleeping amazing, but is ARA 290. And Cade, you're familiar with ARA 290, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
And what do you typically think of that peptide for?
Typically think of it for like pain, inflammation, neuropathy, like nervous system.
Yeah, and it's all good for those things. But one of the ways that it functions is, yes, it does heal the small nerve fibers. And so that's why we call this the pain peptide. It's been researched. It's been shown to lower hemoglobin A1C. It lowers LDL cholesterol. It lowers inflammation by working on like tumor necrosis factor alpha. But the other thing ARA 290 does is it works on the erythropoietin pathway in the kidneys and in the bone marrow and in the spleen, and it helps make red blood cells. And so one of the big reasons why it can help you sleep is, yes, it can calm pain down. And, Jess and I are both before we ever got married, our big commitment to each other is we will keep our bodies in shape. So having physical health is a real key in our relationship. And actually wrote a poem to her today using some AI help that I'll share with you guys. It's kind of fun, but yeah, that was our main goal. But so part of it is just recovering from workouts. Area helps recovery, but the other big part is when you have better red blood cell secretion, you sleep better. And especially if you live in a high altitude like we do, your body has to work extra hard to produce the red blood cells to get oxygenation, which actually has been shown to help improve longevity. If you live at a higher elevation, there's a good chance you'll live longer because of the hormesis that takes place when you put a little bit of stress on your oxygenation pathways. But the nice thing about it is the byproduct is you sleep really darn well. So ARA290, epitalin are two great peptides that you can reset everything in your body. So pretty interesting, huh, Cade?
It's really fascinating. Yeah. So you said it increases red blood cells, really helps with the kidneys. I think the downstream, I know more over holistically overall what ARA does, but when you go into some of those mechanics, makes sense how it's able to improve all those different aspects by what it's actually doing. That's awesome.
Yes. And if you happen to be a professional athlete, then do not use this because you'll get flagged for using a substance that increases
performance enhancement.
Yes, but very safe in the clinical trials. It's actually being approved right now. It passed. I believe it was in the 2B and in phase 3 in the clinical trials. Has been very effective, and so it will be released for another condition called sarcoidosis. So it's for autoimmunity. So the cool thing about peptides is they're pleiotropic, so they work on so many different pathways. But especially if you're prone to autoimmunity, this will really help you sleep great. And both myself and my wife are prone to autoimmune flare-ups. But man, if we stay healthy, then there's no reason why it ever needs to show up. So ARA290, epitalin are some great ways, along with the 6 essentials that we talked about, which are sleeping 9:30 to 5:30, getting great hydration in, no more than 1 gram of sugar, no processed foods, things like that. Our 30-30 exercise routine, because what we're going to create this year is we're going to have the Fitness 50 at age 100 tool. And then also Tristan and I are creating the Fitness 25 at age 50 tool. And then you'll see we're going to have shirts that say fit, fitter, and fittest. And so I want to see all you walking around in your fittest shirt next year. So come and do the Fitness 50 at age 100. If you're not familiar with that tool, go to thepeptideexpert.com, download our free bundle, and you can get that tool is included in that free bundle, and it will help you grade yourself to see how fit you are if you're over 50. And so it's a fun benchmark. And then so make sure you're doing that. And then cold and heat exposure, mindset morning, those are the 6 essentials. Use Cellcore detoxification. That's something you want to do. Gentle detoxification all throughout the year. It's really important. And it might be thepeptideexpert.com, actually. I checked that URL. I can't remember what it is, but
it is thepeptideexpert.com.
Okay, great. And so these are all great things you guys can do to really make it a great new year. And then if you want to do something super fun, I wrote my wife a poem this morning, but I didn't write it because it would take me forever to write a poem. And so I don't know if you're familiar with Chat GPT-3. So it's through OpenAI. So AI is something you're going to see. We're creating some amazing content in the coming year. But one of the reasons, I don't create a lot of content is because it takes away from my clinical time. And so fortunately, I had a friend that turned me on. He said, "Hey, OpenAI," and Howard Cade, who's got one of the best AI companies around. Um, there's now OpenAI where you can use AI to do anything you want. And so I asked AI, I said, "Can you write a poem to my wife?" So do you want me to read it, Cade? You want to hear this?
Yeah, I'm really interested.
So I put in some like basics about our relationship, like something around fitness and fun and great memories and so this is what it says. "Oh, Jessica, my love, my heart and soul, our health and fitness we both now control. Your beauty so striking with love that's divine, your passion and spirit so alive and so fine. We've shared so many laughs, days and nights, memories of us exercising in the mountains, always in sight. We set goals and strive with each step and each climb, our heart and soul full of love, always in rhyme. Throughout our years together, love is ever strong, enduring our highs and lows, right and wrong. Living life each day to our fullest with love, unconditionally loving one another for eternity above. Our journey has been sweet and fine. Your strength and courage truly are divine. Grateful together we are for the journey we share. Our love for each other so deep. Life is so amazing together." And then I just said, "Love your unwavering husband who used AI to make your morning a bit better. Love you, babe." So I sent that as a text, and that poem, how long do you think that would have taken me to write on my own, kid?
Oh, like weeks.
That probably could never get one that good.
No,
It was like literally maybe 2 minutes is all it took. It was just a
that
thought. And
that is incredible.
yeah, and
That
then
is
I,
pretty fascinating.
yeah, it's crazy. I proofread it and I changed a couple things and then just sent it to her. And so I think the world is just getting more and more exciting, more fun. There's a lot of things coming up, but it's not fun and it's not exciting if you don't have your health. So my challenge to every one of you is let's get 2023 just rocking. So if you have been hesitating about doing something big about your health, or if you're thinking about, maybe I'll do something a little small this year, the small things that you do for your health don't lead to big transformations. I can tell you that much. The biggest transformations come when you make a big commitment to yourself. Come to one of our retreats, get the regenerative medicine that you've been thinking about, sign up for the Accelerate Wellness program if you haven't, but just do something for your health this year. It will be the one experience and the one purchase you make that you'll never regret because you're investing in yourself. And so yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Get out there and reset yourself. And thanks so much for being part of our community.
Awesome. Thank you, Reagan. Amazing content as usual. Had a few questions come in before we wrap up. So one, is there a brand of blue light blocker glasses? I think we've supplied the Accelerate Wellness blue light blockers. We have those at the office if you're interested in some of those, as well as you can. I don't know a specific brand.
I don't. Yeah.
I like my glasses. I have it built in to have some blockers in there. You can. There's a lot of options there, Beverly. Have a happy new year. And then Melanie, we have the product name is ARA 290. That's the peptide that we were discussing there. A really cool peptide. So awesome stuff. Everybody, you have a fantastic new year. We will see you next year. Same time, same place next week. Love you all. Have an amazing day.
Bye-bye.